unbelievable, baby. The boners are back. Hearts to hearts and hands to hands. Beneath the blue and white we stand. We shout, God bless our native land, North Melbourne, North Melbourne. Out we come, out we come, out we come to play. Just for recreation's sake, to pass the time away. Lots of fun, heaps of fun. Enjoy yourself today. The Melbourne boys are hard to beat when they come out to play. So, join in the chorus.
There we go.
And sing it one and all. Join in the chorus. North Melbourne's on the ball. Good old North Melbourne. The champions, you'll agree. North Melbourne will be premiers. Just you wait and see. Woo!
You're thrown into a really unique situation where your brother was concerned as well after the Derby in 2018 with Andrew Gaff. An incident took place on the field, and somehow your relationship with Andy was sort of thrown into the spotlight around how you were all such good mates and you all played golf together, and this became a weird storyline out of this whole incident on a field. Do you remember that much?
Yeah, it was so strange. Like I remember because when you watch the game as a player who's not playing, you're in this little box. It's like a coach's box, but you're removed from everything and you're sort of in your own little spot. And it happened on the other side of the ground, and because of the bloody nature of it, they didn't they didn't replay it on the screen. So it wasn't something you could look up and watch. So we just saw Andrew go down on the other side of the field. It was a bit off the ball, so you weren't watching it. Saw the runners going over to him, and so I've obviously had a look, and I've seen him come off with his hand in his face with the blood coming out. And you're thinking, oh, okay, what's going on here? And then AFL post a video and you can watch it again. And I was like, oh boy, he's in a bit of trouble. The photos came through. So I was like, mum and dad were at the game. So they were quite, it was like, okay, so this is now a bit more serious than just, he's just fallen over. He's taking a hit. And then he's in the hospital. He goes to this hospital. They've opened it up for him. He's got like the anaesthetist couldn't come in for another 8 hours. So it was like, he got the call and it was like, mate, we can either local anesthetic you and then wrench him back into place, or you can just sit here in pain on drugs for 8 hours. So he said, yep, just jab me up. So he had local anesthetic in his mouth and they ripped the teeth back into place. So while all that was happening, the game was still going on.
Yeah.
So like I'm watching the game and I know full well now what's happened. I've seen photos of him. I know that he's going to hospital with a broken jaw, and like Gaffy's out on the field still. The game finished. We're down in the rooms, and I was very close with Andrew Gaff as a player and a teammate, and he just would never hurt a fly. It's so outside his nature to do something like this. And so when I saw him after the game, he was head down and very sheepish, and I just went up to him and I was like, mate, he's all right. It's going to be okay. Like, I don't worry about it, pretty much. And then this stuff came out about us having played golf, which hadn't happened at the time. It did end up happening, and we had sort of buried the hatchet over a game of golf. But it was a very interesting dynamic whereby I had done nothing yet. I'd played no games of AFL. I'd been sort of at a relevance in anything. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh shit, there's a bit on here because I'm the conduit between the two of them. So it was a weird sort of dynamic. Gaffy went home pretty quick to do the tribunal stuff. But yeah, once I knew Andrew was fine and he had his teeth wired up and he was good, I was like, okay, mate, you'll be fine. You've hurt yourself before. And then my attention pretty quickly turned to Gaffy as a friend of mine, being like, mate, I know you're hurting and I know you're upset with what you've done, but it's going to be okay. And so it was a weird dynamic, sort of resolved itself after a month or two, but it was, it was certainly in the thick of it there for a bit.
Yeah, because I was at that game as well. I happened to be in Perth and I was there, and I just remember the storyline that came out like later that week, and somehow you'd been thrown into it, and I just didn't understand how we'd be able to make that wild connection. You hadn't played a game at that point, but you did play a game for West Coast. What was that like playing? Was it Optus Stadium?
We were in, it was actually in the Gabba. So it was at the Gabba against St Kilda in the COVID year. So it was so weird because I knew, like, there was a moment. So the 2020 season was my last year and I was out of contract. And there was a period of about 7 or 8 weeks at the start of the year where the reserve side in the hub were just scrimmaging, which was, whatever, a match sim against opposition. And I was going well there and I thought I was playing okay. And then slowly midfielders at the AFL started to get injured. And it got to a point where it was myself or Xavier O'Neill, basically the last two midfielders fit and available. Um, I thought I'd been playing okay, and I was like, okay, this week, I think it was Jack Redden got hurt, and he'd called me on the Monday, being like, because he had a scan, he goes, mate, scan's no good. Get yourself ready for this week, like you might be playing. And so I was sort of gearing up, and I thought to myself, well, it was a pretty clear line in the sand. Like if they're going to go with me, it's either me and X are the two young guys. They're either going to go one way or the other. They ended up going with Zave. And so it pretty much was a clear cut indicator to me that like this will be it. I'm not going to get another contract. I'm done. So I didn't give up, but I just enjoyed a bit more the last 4 or 5 months playing. And that game that I got was as a result of more injuries. And, I was happy to take it. Drew Petrie actually presented me my jumper, which was really cool because he was at the club at the time, and he was the guy who presented me with my jumper. So to have Adam Simpson be your coach and Drew Petrie give you your jumper, Daniel Pratt was there as the line coach, Brady Rawlings was the guy who drafted me. Like it was a lot of North Melbourne connection and influence at the footy club, which I loved. But yeah, to have that one game, whether it was a token game or not, I don't really care. I was there and I enjoyed it. We won, and it was a dream come true, knowing that it was all going to end at the same time. I just sort of I just enjoyed the experience, probably for more what it was. Like I did care about my performance, but at the same time I didn't, because I knew I was going to get the cut or delisted in a couple of weeks. It was like the second last round of the year. So I was like, yeah, I just took it for what it was and loved every minute of it, and really just had as much fun out there as I could, wanting to win, obviously, and be competitive. And if I could do some good things, I tried. But yeah, just sort of having that knowledge that was a culmination of a lot of work and a dream of mine to go out and win, and play that was really cool. And yeah, I certainly wear that as a badge of honor, that it was one game, one win.
100% win rate. You can't
Yeah,
go wrong
exactly. You
with
can't
that,
beat it.
right?
Correct.
Right. Hammer, mate, it's an absolute privilege to be able to stand up here today and present your first game jumper to you. Become Eagle 255, which is a number that no one will ever be able to take away from you. The passion and energy you bring to the group, no one can deny how elite that is. And the love and the care that you show the group as well in this footy club is undeniable. So you've worked your backside off to get to this position. You absolutely deserve to be here and to run out with the boys on Thursday night. It was a joy to run out with you in the Waffle Eagles a few times last year, mate. I'll never forget my first game with you, listening to a bit of Limp Bizkit rolling, baby. That was a thrill, and it was a pleasure to run out alongside, because I knew what I was going to get. So these boys know what they're going to get tomorrow night, so come up here, mate.
You did unfortunately get delisted at the end of that year, but you decided to stay in Perth. You've obviously built a life there for yourself. How did you then go on to refine and reignite that love for North Melbourne as a supporter?
Well, it probably happened slowly over like the next 2 or 3 years, and being a massive fan growing up and then having to cut that tie severely to go and focus at West Coast, you sort of you desensitize yourself to supportership in a way. Like as an AFL player, you start to support the team you're supporting, but then support friends and people that you know. And because I was around football, I had two brothers still playing. You support them, you support their teams. I had a lot of other friends that were still playing, so I support them. But it wasn't until Angus retired, and I'd moved away from West Coast, so I coached there for a bit for the women's team. I worked there, and then I left that situation, so I wasn't involved as much in West Coast. I started to sort of support again, which was really cool. And yeah, it sort of probably took 2 years after being delisted to sort of get back into that nuffy mindset of just being like, I'm just going to follow this every week and I'm back on the train. But yeah, it really is a difference. It's a shift, because when you're an AFL player coming out, you either support your team or you support the people that you know at other teams. And it's probably taken a couple of years for me to get back on that train of like, okay, here we go. I'm riding the roller coaster again. I'm just going to be up and down with how the boys go, and I'm all in again and I'm invested. But I'm back there now. So it took a couple of years, but yeah, I'm certainly back at that, watching every week, writing the results, and yeah, I'm fully invested again.
And you are absolutely flying the flag on Backchat with the boys over there, and you have I don't know. I think like you are the owner of the boners. Now, it is just not a thing in Melbourne, but everyone who knows you and who knows Backchat and who listens to the podcast and watches Happy Hour, all that sort of stuff, knows about the boners. We need the story. I think that's what people really want to know. Where did this come from and how has it taken off into the monster that you have created it to be?
Yeah, I don't know. I've always just called us the Shinboners, and it's just like that's what we are, obviously.
Yeah, of
But
course.
for me, it's always just been like the bonus. That's just what I've just called us. And it wasn't until probably however long ago it was when we won our first game of the year that I sort of came on here and passed out, and then had this big thing about being a massive boner. That it sort of obviously it's a play on words and tongue in cheek, but it's just what I've always called them. And I might have been away from Victoria for too long to have known that we don't maybe refer to ourselves as that anymore. But I just think because probably in my opinion, because we've been so irrelevant for so many years, we've got to find fun, enjoyable ways to make ourselves laugh and have some love about the club. And that's just one way I do it. But yeah, I'm certainly not going to stop calling us the Boners. That's who we are. It's what I love about us and being a shin bone. And like, yes, it's tongue in cheek, but it highlights what we are. We're a blue collar footy club who is extremely hardworking, and at the bones of what it is, it's like that's our MO. That's what good players at North Melbourne have always done. Like you look across, you look at Glenn Archie, you look at Ben Cunnington, I look at guys like George Wardlaw now, Luke McDonald. I just like real strong shin boner type footballers and play with that spirit and play with that legacy. And yeah, while it is tongue in cheek because we need some things to laugh about every now and again, it's certainly something that I will continue to call us and praise when I see things that are giving an enormous shin boner.
There's definitely been more, I think, to like in 2025 so far. We obviously haven't got the tangible results and the wind on the board, but you can definitely see the improvement. There are definitely players that we can really hang our hat on and be really proud of. How have you found season 2025 so far, and where do you think we can go in the second half of the year?
To be honest, I've been really flat with how it's gone because there's some things like the things off the field. I feel like we've got everything put in place off the field to be good. I hate hearing things about is Clarko the guy. Like he's a very good coach, and I'm fully invested in him. Obviously, the players are invested. Like we've had Larky sign, we've had Zerha sign, we've had LDU sign. All these guys have signed and committed to the club. So we're in the right place from that respect. It's we were speaking about it before. The only thing that I think we can improve on is not, it goes without saying, the winning, but the skill of winning. And when I say that, being a footballer and having been in this space for a long time, the art of winning is it's a skill. And you look at the two teams who have not been able to do it for a long time, West Coast and North, on the weekend were perfect examples of being in situations where games were there to be won, and you can't think your way through to win the game. And being on the opposite side, Richmond, they had guys that had been there, so they were able to win. And while we couldn't, while Brisbane couldn't win, they did enough to not lose the game. I feel like it was our game to win on the weekend, not Brisbane's, and it was Brisbane's to lose, and they didn't. So that's probably where I think the improvement can come from. We've got guys like Charlie Comben's coming and having a career standout year, and he's just like shown himself as a star. And Lucky's obviously very good. Zerha's a star as well. But guys like Sherry and the midfield's working. George Wardlaw is a weapon. Finn O'Sullivan's going to be a star. McKerch is a weapon. We've got such good young talent. But even guys like Bailey Scott are coming on and again taking another step this year. And we've got that. I think now we've got Parker and JD who have got some experience to add to that. But that just helps guys like Jai Simpkin be better because I feel like he goes underrated. I feel like he's had an exceptional year. So there's a lot of players like that I feel like have taken another step. The next step for them is going to be learning to win because we haven't won in, it's been 8 years since we've been a good side or a relevant side. And as hard as that is to say as a North fan, that's the next step is sort of, and you do that. I'm sure Clarko's helping them, but you do that at training in like mini games. Someone has to win. You make it competitive. You teach that skill of winning. So I feel like in the back half of the year, we're already at a point where the last month of footy for us has been really competitive. And so the wins will come. And I just think once we can sort of break that dam, I feel like we've already broken, touch wood, wherever the wood is. I feel like we're past the point of being super uncompetitive. But, I don't think we're at the point where we're going to be winning heaps of games yet. That's got to come. But yeah, really getting around the celebrating of the little things to get to that point. Because I think we've got the players. I feel like we've got so much talent on our list. We've got things that other teams don't have. We've got experience. We've got young youth. We've got weapons around the ground that other teams don't have, and that blends really well. But it just needs to learn to win. So while we're being competitive, and I think for the back half of the year, don't expect many blowouts, if any. But it might still just come as these 2 or 3 goal losses, or we're close but not close enough, and that'll tick over. But yeah, that's what's frustrated me because it is. I understand that it's a winning skill and you need to learn to do it, but I just love us to take the leap and get there sooner than we probably have.
Yeah, I think you definitely speak for all of us, and it is really hard to not look at some other clubs who have potentially gone past us. But I think we are putting in good building blocks and a good foundation for hopefully sustained long-term success. So it's being able to find some patience, but then also try and just, let that translate to wins as well. Hammy, you've been amazing, and I've loved the insight from you. I guess my last question, and I think it's probably something I like to ask everyone that comes on the channel, what does North Melbourne mean to you?
Like it was my first love of football. I don't think, like I've come back to it now, and I was gone for a little bit in the wilderness, and now I'm back. But m- I grew up loving football because of North Melbourne. So football for me is the best game in the world, and it's my favourite pastime. But it was only that because of the North Melbourne Footy Club, and a lot of my younger memories are around footy, and it's because of this club that I am so invested in the game, and to me, it's a place where I can have my entire feelings of the week invested. I can ride the wave. I can be happy. I can be sad because of this group of guys. And then all of a sudden, like we've got the introduction of our women's team, and like I was coaching against them, and I was like, God, how are these guys? We're so good. Can we take a bit of that and help it with our men's program? So now that we've got the blend of that, it's like everything is coming together. I feel for me that the club is a massive family, and it was my family as a young kid growing up and being around it. So I feel like I've got, yes, the name connection with the family connection being there. But for me as a supporter and being so close to it as a kid, it did feel like an extension of my family. But now coming back to them and being a passionate fan again, I just feel like it's an outlet and it's a release, and it is just a place that I'm so heavily invested. Um, but a bit like, I don't have kids, but I feel like a bit like a kid. You just want to see them do well. You love this team, and you want to see them succeed. And it's just going to be, for me, I'm just waiting, and I know that it's going to be such a release and an amazing feeling when we are good again, because has been a long time. But yeah, for me, that's what it is. It was my first love, and they feel like a family away from a family.
That's a great answer, and I think that's such a yeah, I think for all of us, it was our first true love probably, and an everlasting love. It maybe is a toxic relationship at times, but hopefully.
So horribly toxic, and just we give and we give and we give, and we've gotten nothing. They've left us on red for 7 or 8 years, but we still keep coming back. I'll text you every night. How you going? Yep, you're still there. Come
Hopefully
on.
one day we'll get a text back.
I know it's coming. I can feel it.
Thank you so much, Hammer, for joining me. If anyone wants to find you, I know they can, but back chat, happy hour, everything boner related. You're flying the flag so well for us. And like I said, hopefully, all that love and energy we're putting out into the universe will come back to us
I'm
tenfold.
sure it'll come back to us. I'm sure it will. And I'll be back on after our first win.
Yes, done. Lock it in.
Done.